Should the Las Vegas Raiders make a bold move for star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson? Raider Nation, this is the question shaking up conversations everywhere. Imagine it for a second. Hendrickson lined up next to Max Crosby, two absolute monsters hunting quarterbacks on the same field. That thought alone is enough to send chills down any opponent's spine. But here's the catch. Cincinnati isn't letting him go for cheap. Reports say the Bengals want a young defensive player and a 2026 first-round pick in return. On top of that, Hendrickson will be looking for a massive payday. And honestly, with back-to-back seasons of double-digit sacks, he's earned the right to demand it. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. Now, picture this. Crosby and Hendrickson together. Since 2021, they've combined for nearly 100 sacks, over 600 pressures, and more than 200 quarterback hits. That kind of destruction up front could instantly change the Raiders' identity into one of the league's most feared defenses. The real question is, should the Raiders sacrifice future assets and big money for a win-now move? Or hold back and continue building step by step? Raider Nation, this one is going to spark serious debate. But here's the real question. Raider Nation, will the silver and black actually pull the trigger on Trey Hendrickson? Or will this just be another rumor that fades away? On paper, this feels like the kind of move that could instantly elevate the Raiders' defense. A pass rush led by Max Crosby and Hendrickson wouldn't just pressure quarterbacks. It would take the weight off a secondary that has struggled at times. And let's be honest, the AFC West is stacked with firepower. If the Raiders want to keep pace, strengthening that defensive line is the fastest way to do it. The good news? Reports suggest Cincinnati's asking price might be slipping. At first, it sounded like a first-round pick was required, but now it could be more realistic, maybe a second-rounder, plus a young piece or two. Names like Malcolm Koonce and Tyree Wilson have surfaced as potential trade chips. But here's the hesitation. The Raiders haven't always had success bringing in big-name veterans. Chandler Jones was supposed to be the answer, and we all know how that story ended. So the debate continues. Should the Raiders gamble future assets for a win-now pass rusher or stay the course and develop the pieces they already have? Christian Wilkins was already a massive addition for the Raiders, but the thought of pairing him with Trey Hendrickson makes the imagination run wild. On paper, it sounds like a dream, a defensive front so fierce that quarterbacks wouldn't even have time to blink. But reality brings tough decisions. Malcolm Koonce is developing into a key piece, and his chemistry with Max Crosby can't be ignored. Every time those two line up together, you can feel the energy shift. He's young, he's hungry, and he's only getting better. Letting him go just for a quick fix could backfire, especially when his best football may still be ahead. Tyree Wilson, though, is a different story. Moving him in a deal might make more sense if the Raiders truly believe Hendrickson is the missing piece. The price? Likely a second-round pick, paired with either Koonce or Wilson. Painful, yes, but that's the cost of chasing greatness. For a team flirting with the idea of win-now mode, adding Hendrickson could create one of the nastiest defensive lines in the league. The risk is heavy, but the payoff? Potentially game-changing. Raider Nation, here's where things get interesting. While the talk of Trey Hendrickson excites everyone, there's another storyline brewing inside the building, the future of quarterback Aidan O'Connell. Could he actually be on the chopping block before the season even kicks off? When the Raiders drafted O'Connell, hopes were mixed. Some saw a hidden gem, others weren't convinced. Fast forward to now, with Geno Smith firmly locked in as QB1, the battle for the backup role was supposed to be O'Connell's chance to prove himself. But instead of taking a step forward, he's looked shaky. Training camp reports praised his work ethic, but under the lights of preseason, the struggles were clear. He's held onto the ball too long, looked slow in the pocket, and at times completely stalled the offense's rhythm. Against the 49ers, it wasn't just about stats, it was about momentum, and O'Connell simply couldn't keep it alive. Now the whispers are growing louder. If the Raiders are serious about cleaning house and sharpening their roster, O'Connell could be one of the first names on the move. It's a tough reality, but one the team may have to face sooner rather than later. The struggles of Aidan O'Connell have now gone beyond just fan frustration. Even the coaching staff has pointed it out. After the 49ers game, it was clear. The Raiders' offense looked slower, less sharp, and O'Connell's costly interception killed a crucial drive. Instead of throwing it away, he forced a pass right into coverage, and the defense gladly turned it into a highlight. And if that wasn't tough enough, even opposing players have been joking about it. One defender called it a perfect pass straight to his hands. That's the kind of criticism no quarterback wants to hear. The numbers tell the same story. Through 2 preseason games, O'Connell has completed 33 of 53 passes for 343 yards, with just 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions. For a young quarterback fighting for his job, those aren't numbers that inspire confidence. At this point, it's hard to imagine O'Connell still being on the Raiders roster by week 1. Whether he's traded or released, the writing feels like it's on the wall. And with Geno Smith locked in as the starter, the real question is simple. If disaster struck and Smith went down, could this team truly rely on O'Connell? Right now, the answer doesn't look promising. Cam Millard, despite his own growing pains, seems to offer more upside and energy. And as each week passes, O'Connell's grip on a roster spot grows weaker. After a rough stretch of preseason play, Aidan O'Connell finally addressed the mistakes that have put him under the spotlight. He admitted the offense hasn't been moving fast enough out of the huddle, something the Raiders have been pressing in practice by shortening the play clock to force quicker decisions. O'Connell didn't shy away from taking responsibility. He called out his own interceptions, saying there were at least 2 throws he wishes he could take back. One came in the red zone, a moment where the Raiders should have at least walked away with points. Instead, it turned into yet another turnover that shifted momentum to the other side. He explained that he was trying to throw with anticipation, but the defender simply read the route and jumped it. At the end of the day, O'Connell said, "My job is to take care of the ball." And while he's right, it's never easy for a young quarterback to own up publicly. It doesn't erase the fact that those mistakes are stacking up at the worst possible time. For O'Connell, the challenge now isn't just about improving, it's about survival. Every rep, every drive, and every decision is being weighed against whether or not he belongs in silver and black come week 1. The future of Aidan O'Connell in Las Vegas feels cloudy at best. Unless something dramatic changes, it's hard to picture him on the final roster. And if he is kept, the hope is simple, that Geno Smith stays healthy, because right now Smith has clearly locked down the QB1 spot. He's looked confident, fluid, and in complete command during both camp and preseason. That leaves the Raiders with a tough call in the final preseason game. Keep O'Connell as a backup project or cut ties and look elsewhere. The truth is, if Geno were to go down, could O'Connell really be trusted to keep the offense afloat? The answer most fans feel in their gut is probably not. Which raises another question. Should the Raiders bring in a veteran presence just to stabilize the QB room? But quarterback isn't the only concern. Depth in the secondary is looking thinner by the week. While the first-team defense has held its ground, the moment the backups step in, cracks start to show. That weakness has already been exposed multiple times this preseason. There have been some bright spots, Isaiah Polamau and Jeremy Chin both snagging interceptions in back-to-back games, but that doesn't erase the bigger issue. The Raiders need more depth. They can't afford to go into the season relying on just a handful of names. And that's why talk has already turned to potential free agent options, with one name standing out above the rest, Asante Samuel. When it comes to free agent help, a few names stand out for the Raiders' secondary. First is Asante Samuel. Yes, he's smaller than the type of corner Pete Carroll usually leans toward, but as a depth piece, Samuel makes too much sense. His instincts and ball skills could add something this defense still lacks. Then there's Justin Simmons. With Jamal Adams shifting into more of a linebacker role and Lonnie Johnson sidelined, the safety room feels thin. Simmons wouldn't even need to start immediately. Just having him as insurance could change the outlook of this defense. And don't forget about Rasul Douglas, a former Raider who has since proven himself as a reliable veteran wherever he's gone. Bringing him back to Las Vegas would give the cornerback room an experienced leader, something this team could really use. These aren't splashy names anymore, but they're the type of additions that build real depth. And if the Raiders want to compete in an AFC West loaded with offensive firepower, they can't afford to ignore these holes. So, Raider Nation, what do you think? Which of these free agents would you like to see wearing the silver and black? Or is there another player out there you'd target instead? Drop your thoughts, because this defense needs answers, and soon.